All right, guys, welcome to the first episode of Gamer Book Club.
How's
it going? Yeah,
Here we go.
Gamer
We made
Book
it.
Club.
Round of applause. We made it to episode 1.
So my idea with this is the first video on the channel, is to just get my friends together and we all play the same video game in a allotted amount of time, just as long as everybody can finish it, and talk about our experience with the game. I've wanted to do something like this for a long time, just like in general, going over games that I play. But I thought doing it with you guys would be a lot more fun. But like, I just kind of like want to catalog those games that I always wanted to play, or replaying games that I've always thought were great, and kind of just like have this time capsule, what I thought about it at that time. You know, how did I used to feel about it? How does it progress through, you know, like from being a nostalgic game I played, or a game I'm playing for the first time, and maybe I'll play it 10 years from now and go back and see what I think about it. And I think it's really, you know, fun to put that in a little bottle and, you know, be able to go back to it. I really enjoy being able to do that. And I'm really excited that you guys are able to do it with me. So for our first episode, we have me. I'm Karsten. We have you guys. Introduce yourself.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm Toby. What's up?
I'm Joe.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I probably should have been who goes
Joby7447 on YouTube and Twitch.
7447. You got 10 Cars 10 gamer 10 Cars 10 right here.
I guess on Twitch, I think I'm Arno Matters. RNOMADRS.
Hey, when are you gonna stream next, Arno Matters?
Oh gosh. Well, we'll see. I guess I stream once every maybe year and a half or so.
Didn't you stream Flash games?
Yeah.
That one time, yeah.
Yeah. Do that again.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Maybe we'll do a Gamer Book Club on Flash games.
On Flash, yeah. Addictinggames.com, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first episode here today is going to be Mega Man X. I just thought it'd be, you know, since we're starting this for the first time, I wanted to get a game that, you know, is short, succinct, has a legacy to it. You know, no one was going to be like, I don't want to play that, because it does have such, you know, it has an icon status as far as retro games go. I have a big history with it. I know Toby does. Joe, I don't know if you've ever played it, but we'll find out. So I just thought this would be a good game to play for the first time. Throughout how this will work, you know, we might have multiple episodes per game, you know, for our deciding to play a 60-hour RPG. I don't think it'd be good to be like, see you guys in 2 months. You know, we can meet up every few weeks and talk about it. But for a game short like this, you know, we just play it and be like, we're all done. All right, let's go meet up and talk about it. So without further ado, we're talking about Mega Man X, baby.
Oh, he's got the cart. Oh,
yeah,
man.
It's mirrored because of Discord. But yeah, I've had this since I was a little kid. So I think it's good to talk about it.
Yeah.
What's your guys' history with this game? When did you guys first play it, or is it your first time?
I'll go first because it's not very exciting. So obviously, like, I didn't have a Super Nintendo growing up. But I played it for the first time on an emulator back in the day, because that's just what people did.
Did you play with a controller or a keyboard?
A controller. I actually have a Super Nintendo USB controller.
Ooh.
So that was how I played all of those. I tried them out, but I never beat it. It wasn't until I got the Super Nintendo Classic that I beat it for the first time, but it was with save states and everything, so it was like, you know. But, yeah, and I played it just now. So, not a very exciting history. So, we'll go to Toby then.
Okay, well, I think technically the first time I played Mega Man X was actually at your place, Karsten.
Yeah, we
actually
in 13.
Yeah, it was one of the first games we played together. So we beat it in one sitting, obviously. Cause
there you go.
As you have to, obviously.
Yeah, I guess technically my very first experience with Mega Man in general was this Japanese copy of a game called Mega Man Extreme on the Game Boy Color.
What?
Yeah, it seems really random. I got it from my cousin, and of course it was all in Japanese, so I didn't understand what was going on at all. So it was kind of weird because I saw Mega Man X on the SNES, and I thought, oh wow, these games look really similar. Because Mega Man Extreme is supposed to be like this. It's kind of like a weird combination of Mega Man X and Mega Man X2.
Really?
Yeah, well, I guess we
Yeah,
can.
the old handheld Mega Man games were always like that. Like the first handheld Mega Man game, it's called like Dr. Wily's Revenge. It has like parts of Mega Man 1 and parts of Mega Man 2. And then the
Yeah.
second handheld Mega Man game on Game Boy is parts of Mega Man 2 and parts of Mega Man 3. Like they share level designs and robot masters. It gets real weird.
Yeah.
And I think they do that in Mega Man X too, right? How did you get a hold of that game?
Mega Man Extreme, you mean? Or
Yeah.
it was just from my cousin. Like he had a Game Boy Color and couple random games, so he just like gave them to me. So that was my first ever experience with Mega Man.
I did think it'd be a fun prank to accidentally play Mega Man Maverick Hunter on PSP because that's a remake of X. But
yeah.
I was like, you know what? This doesn't look as fun. It kind of looks ugly.
Yeah, I always wanted to try that one, but
yeah.
don't have a PSP anymore, and I'd just rather play the classic, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I did. I was like, huh. I wonder how different it actually. But now I'm actually kind of curious to try it now that I finished the original. I'm curious to go back and try it, but I don't know. We'll see.
From what I can tell, it was a big trend kind of in the PSP years to like remake old 2D games for the PSP to be like a modern, because like if you did that on PS3 or 360, it probably would look pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So that's why you did it on DS or PSP, bring back the old side-scrolling games because they weren't as big on 3D consoles anymore, like the PS3 and whatever else.
Yeah,
and then they did Symphony of the Night on PSP as well.
Yeah.
That comes to my head, you know. But the late 2000s, that was the revival time. So.
Yeah, and then I guess they did Mega Man Advance, which was just or not Advance. What's the Battle Network, right? So.
Yeah, they did Battle Network, and then there was
thing.
another RPG series called
Star Force.
Star Force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Lost that game forever.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms we can.
Oh no.
So my first experience in Mega Man X is before I was born, you know, there was already a Super Nintendo in my family. I had an older brother; he's about 5 years older. So I kind of grew up N64 going into GameCube. He grew up with a Super Nintendo that my parents already had, and my mom actually worked at a rental store called Hollywood Video.
Oh.
And we got
Those
a
are the
bunch
days.
of games for free from there all the time that she'd bring home. Like, I have a lot of really valuable games that have like I have Street Fighter 2. It still has Hollywood Video tags on it.
Oh
And
my
I
gosh.
have Super Metroid with Hollywood Video tags on it because we got it from my mom being a manager there. So
And you have Snowboard Kids on N64 as well, right?
I do, and back in the day, these games were like $70. So
Yeah.
it was nice. I'm very fortunate to have been born into a really good video game collection because just lucked out. But yeah, this was a game. You know, my brother, once he started growing up, he would play more of the PS1 and the PS2 and eventually the Xbox and stuff like that. And until I got my own GameCube, I was playing, I guess, the hand-me-downs. So the Super Nintendo was hooked up sometimes. My dad loved Super Mario World, so I would just play some of the random games that we'd have, and I put this one in and play the intro level of Mega Man X. Like, I so vividly remember the intro level of Mega Man X because I've been playing it since I was like 5 years old. Yeah. And that was really my experience with it for a long time until probably 2009, 2010. Me and Toby started really getting into Mega Man together. We would, there was this website called the Mega Man homepage. I'd go on every single day. I'd play wanted to play every single Mega Man game. You know, once I started playing Mega Man 9 and I loved it, I just was like, I'm on a kick now. I want to play all of them. So Toby and I every day at lunch would be like, oh, what games you play? We're like, oh, Mega Man 3. It's crazy that there's 2 boss orders, like that kind of stuff. But eventually, Toby and I had a sleepover and as like 13-year-olds in middle school, and we played through it in one sitting. And I remember it was like one of those special nights from like your preteen days where you're like you can't go anywhere, you can't go to your local gas station and waste time. Like you're just playing games with your friends, and and since then I replay this game all the time. I always 100% it. It's one of those every year or two kind of games because it's just so simple to the point, but it's always good. So me and Mega Man X, we go deep. It's one of my favorites. I don't know if it's like a top 10 game or anything like that, but it's so good.
Yeah.
You did mention, Joe, what version you played. What version did you guys all play? I personally played. I always like when I'm playing a game to play a different version each time.
Yeah.
Especially if new compilations come out. So I have the X X Collection on Switch, and that's how I played it this time. I played it on the SNES Classic. I played it on the original hardware, but I just played it on the Switch this time. But what about you guys?
I played it on my homebrewed Vita. So
Nice.
sorry,
Did you
Nintendo,
did you use save
Capcom,
states?
Sony, everybody. Sorry, everybody.
Did you use the save states or did you use the password system? Yeah.
Oh no. I used the save states to like whenever I left and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice on the X Collection on Switch because whenever you go to the password screen, you can just press a button and it'll save your progress, so you don't actually have to use the password.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I think the only reason I did that is because I don't have the collection on the Switch, and I thought that it was on Nintendo Online, and it's not. So I was like, like a couple days ago, when I started, I was like, oh, okay, I should get this, started. So I boot up my Switch and everything, and it wasn't there. I was like, oh no, and I didn't, I don't have the collection, so I just went to the next best thing. I was like, yeah, but yeah, no, I agree. I would like to, at least in the future, try different things like that. Yeah.
I debated emulating it, and then I forgot I had the X Collection on Switch.
One thing,
I'll just do that.
Well, I guess we can get into it later, but in all of the versions, there's slowdown, right?
Oh yeah, I was definitely.
We can get into that
later.
And I don't have my SNES Classic anymore, so that would have been another option, but I don't have it anymore, so
I don't either.
Yeah.
Gotta get that money. What about you, Toby? I'm gonna take a guess and say you emulated it.
Yes, I did.
Nice.
Sorry, Nintendo. But I guess, yeah.
So did you just use like an Xbox controller or something?
In this case, yeah, I did. So at least when we were younger, I also emulated it in the past, and I had the bright idea of just using the keyboard to play when I was younger. So
yeah, no, that was probably rough.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I mean, I got used to it eventually, but yeah, looking back on it,
A game like this, I feel like it would be rough.
But I think it would cause early onset arthritis, without a doubt. And I even felt it playing on the Pro controller because I like to slide all the time. So like I constantly doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the Switch version wouldn't let me map it to the back trigger. It had to do it on the front trigger. I thought it would have been a lot more comfortable to do that, but instead I had to be up here. And I slide basically the whole game.
Yeah.
I'm constantly sliding.
Definitely sliding when I would die and have to go back. I'd just like speed through everything.
Yeah, that's definitely how I'd play it. So we got someone playing it for the first time, complete more or less.
Yeah.
Right. And then Toby, how many times have you played through this?
Honestly, I haven't really played through this one that many times. I want to say, I don't know if I had to guess, maybe I've beaten through it like 5 times total.
Nice.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I'm probably somewhere close to 10. It's like probably one of my most played games. I think the game I've beaten the most in my life is Castlevania 4, because that was a Halloween tradition every year.
Mm-hmm. That's a good
like
game
those
too.
Fast games. I just loved it to just fight through them and just get
Super
through them real
Nintendo's
fast.
great for that.
So before we get into just like the overall experience, like how long did it take you guys?
I don't know.
Was it we can always do Joe, and
I did it like 3
just so it,
Yeah, I did it like 3 sittings. So I would say I'd probably say like 3.5 maybe hours. I don't know. I didn't really keep track. I probably should in the future. But first episode.
Yeah, I don't have an exact hourage on it too. It was just like,
yeah.
For me, it was one day, 2 separate sittings.
I definitely game overed a decent amount, and then I went in, and then I would leave, and then I would come back. I would like kind of swap between levels because I didn't remember exactly, especially in the early game. I didn't remember exactly the order. I knew Chill Penguin is first, and that was about it. So. A lot of trial and error, and then but after a while, like I feel like the more power ups you get, like the weaknesses don't matter as much.
Yeah.
So like I just felt like you're super powerful. I can pretty much like the eagle guy. Eagle. What's his name?
Storm Eagle.
Storm Eagle. I don't think I used the whatever weakness I had for him because
I don't either.
he's
Yeah.
very easy, like in my opinion. So I never like figured out I figured it out at like the end because you have to fight him again, and I was trial and error and stuff like that. But like when I was playing through all the bosses, a lot of the time I didn't really have their weakness, and especially the easy ones like that. But yeah, I would say it took me a lot of like trial and error and stuff like that, just because I'm not as familiar with it. And I mean, when you save states like I did on the Super Nintendo Classic, you can kind of just do whatever you want. So,
Did you look up a boss order, or you just were doing it like cold turkey, raw dogging it?
yeah, yeah, that, yeah. No, I did. I just kind of did it. I was like, I knew Chill Penguin was first.
He is easy. He's so easy.
Yeah, I did. The one thing I looked up is I think we'll get to it. I think it's in the Spark Mandrill stage. There's a heart container, the top corner of the. We can get there. I was like, how do you get that stupid thing? I did look that up.
Yeah, there are different ways. You could either brute force it, or we'll talk about that. But Toby, what about you? Like replaying through, I'd say that just to go on what you were saying, Joe.
Yeah.
One thing that's like, whenever you replay a game so many times, like you're kind of starved or stolen of that experience of not knowing those things.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Like, since I clearly know the boss order, like I'm just gonna do that. And
Yeah.
it does affect your future experiences. Like there's things you just won't ever see because you're taking a specific order, and it's just like, why wouldn't I? But it's like you'd have to force yourself not to.
It's kind of like, yeah, no, I definitely, there's a, yeah, no, absolutely. Especially, I feel that way in like Zelda games too sometimes, where it's like I already know, most, at least in like, I know like the first half of Wind Waker, I know pretty well. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
So Toby, what about you? How long do you think it took you?
I did hear you. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I didn't quite catch that. You just asked my experience, I guess.
Oh, my bad. I said, yeah, how long did it take you, basically?
Okay, well, again, I wasn't really measuring how long it took me, but I mean, if I had to guess, maybe like 2-ish hours or so, maybe. I mean, I did it in about 2 sittings, so yeah, I just beat the first 8 Mavericks, then I stopped for a bit, then just went to the Sigma stages. I did use the passwords. I just took a screenshot of that too, and typed it in, so that's how I did it. But yeah, and I guess, okay, I'll confess right now, whenever I play any Mega Man game, I pretty much always just kind of look up the boss weaknesses and the orders. I just always do that.
Yeah, I was tempted to, but I was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to do that. Am I allowed to do that? Do we want to do that? So I just didn't. But
it would definitely make the game last longer.
Yeah. That's about it. Yeah, it pretty much just makes it last longer. But like you were saying, after you fought the bosses twice. You know what the weaknesses are. If I played it again right now, I'd know what to do. I think.
Yeah, I would probably be able to remember like 6 or 7 of them on the top of my head, and then probably the other 2 I could beat with just if I don't remember the weakness, I just do the Mega Buster, because especially after you get the upgrades, you're just a lot stronger, so it's easier. But yeah, for me, it just took me like 2 sittings, one day. Started it a little after work, then finished it later at night. But Toby, 2 hours. Like once you know everything, you're just like, oh, before you know it, you've already beaten 7 bosses, and then you're already about to beat the 8th and be at Sigma, and you're like, oh wow, I'm just flying through this. Definitely not a long game, but that's also just like, it's just so fun to go back to. Cause you're like, oh, I'll just 100% it real quick. Did you guys 100% it?
No, I didn't 100% it. I know how to get the Hadouken because of top 10 videos back in the day.
Yeah.
And
Screw Attack Top 10 secret items.
I didn't remember I didn't remember if you had to get everything before you tried to get the Hadouken or not, and you did. So I didn't get the Hadouken. I was like, well, should I go back? And I was like, no, I won't go back. But that's, you know what? That's one of the things is you replay it, and then maybe this time you do 100% because you already know so many other things. You know, you can go back and you can get more stuff. I know. I think I missed the headbutt. And
it's so useless. It's really not worth getting.
Well,
you only get it so you can get more collectibles. Like, it doesn't have any use in the game, really, in my opinion.
I think that's the only thing I missed, and I missed probably some the heart containers as well, but and the Hadouken.
Well, that's impressive though, because beating the game, like doing the final boss stuff without having complete heart containers, is definitely tougher.
Yeah, I had the body upgrade too. I was like, oh, this game's so much easier. Well, not easy, but it's a lot easier once you get the armor body upgrade.
You just get it doubles your health bar basically.
Oh yeah.
Did you 100% it again, Toby? I know we did when we were kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. Yes. So.
Yeah. I didn't get the Hadouken actually. Did you?
Oh.
I did. So, for the longest time, I never actually realized that. Okay, so obviously we know we need to get like all the like heart containers, the sub tanks, and all that stuff. But I never actually realized you had to die 3 times beforehand to get the Hadouken.
You just had to keep falling. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember back then having to do that. I could have sworn when we were younger and we tried to get the Hadouken, like we were wondering, hey, we got everything. You know, why isn't the thing here? And I think we maybe tried to die a couple of times and then it just suddenly appeared and we weren't really sure what the heck happened. But yeah.
Yeah, I have that issue with it too. I just think it's like stupid. You have to collect everything, then get like at least six lives or something. Die at that specific spot with full health, like multiple times at the end of Armored Armadillo stage before the boss gate. And that's
strange.
it. Then the Hadouken will be there.
Do you need to get 100% then?
You need to get everything that you can up to that point. Yeah.
Okay. And then die.
So I didn't
3
actually
times.
100% it, but I think the Hadouken. I actually personally never use it. It's like one of those things that you get like just for novelty. Do you actually ever use it, Toby?
I try to, but those like first 2 enemies in Sigma stage, they're all like a little higher up than like where you're standing.
Yeah,
so I couldn't
it's silly.
Use it anyway, and like, it'll get hit.
Yeah. So Joe, with the Hadouken, you can only use it with full health.
Oh.
And it's like a one-shot kill basically. On everything, but like Vile, but like it's only goes forward. You can't like aim it or jump up in the air and use it, and you have to use the Hadouken input. And I'm not really that good at it doing it like that fast. You have to have full health, so like I just don't think it's that useful because like if I would use it on a boss, I would have had to be perfect up to that point. Like I guess you could use sub tanks to get your health up full, but like then if you screw it up, it's just like I don't get it. Like I don't use it. So
I think I read that Sigma's dog is weak to it or something. Is that true?
I think I might have read that as well. Well, I mean, like, I think technically the dog's weakness is supposed to be like the ice shot.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
That's what I used, but I'm saying I because I was looking up what is the Hadouken, like what's the point?
Yeah, I think I actually may have like this. I was looking at a site and I think it also mentioned that the Hadouken is the weapon you should use, the attack you should use against the dog. For whatever reason, I don't know. I guess it's just maybe easy to. I don't know. But.
The dog did a lot of damage to me, so.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like cooler as like an old video game, like you can get the Hadouken Mega Man X than it is like I actually want to use it because I never use it. Mega Man X2 you can get the Shoryuken, and getting that is just stupid in that game. Like look it up, it is like ridiculous how you get it. It's even worse than Mega Man X. But yeah, so I 100%ed it other than doing that because I think that's more superfluous. But 100%ing it does make the game a lot easier because you'll have as much health as you can get, and then having the 4 sub tanks, you can fill your health bar up 4 times. So that's why I never have a problem with the game. Like I don't think the game's very difficult. Now if I tried to do a replay where I didn't do that, that would definitely change things.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys think the game was hard at all?
Definitely the Sigma stages were a little rough, but it was the spider boss got me a lot.
Oh,
that
I hate that
sucks.
guy so much. I Cannot stand that boss.
Yeah.
Least favorite part of the
And
game.
then the final phase of Sigma as well is tough. Those two really stick out to me as the parts where I game overed the most.
Yeah, my least favorite part of the game easily is that spider boss, because it's like that game where it's like, oh, it'll go.
It's like the Mario
the way
64 DS.
I was gonna
minigame.
say the same thing. I thought it was too deep of a cut. I thought it was too deep of a deep cut.
So yeah, we could talk about what we did here, but if you time it, so like the spider draws this thing, you pause it, and you get like a little second to look at it.
Ooh, yeah, I should have tried that. Instead,
It's a little
I just get really
cheap.
mad. Yeah, I lose to that boss all the time. Like, I hate it. It moves too fast, and
in the end, it gets extremely difficult. You just I feel like you just have to get lucky at the end. But
yeah, you can Hadouken that boss, and even that stage is tough. Like the beginning part with those platforms, you have to get used to. Or if you don't do the bubble shield, like the armored armadillo shield around you charged, you're gonna have a tough time because you're gonna fall off the platforms. It's tough platforming. Yeah, I always think about that as like a notorious part of the game.
Yeah.
I think Toby and I had a lot of trouble with that back in the day.
Yeah, we tried to do it without the rolling shield because I think this might have been kind of my fault because Mega Man Extreme also had this stage, and I think I remember doing it without the shield. So I thought, okay, well we can do it without the shield. We don't need it, and it was a very very rough time trying to do it without the shield.
Basically, you said, "I'm a gamer. I'm gonna gamer.
we're gonna gamer it."
13-year-old me thought I was a gamer, but I could not gamer.
That's
it.
awesome. That's really good. I think the game can be tough. I think it would be a lot harder if it didn't give you so much to improve yourself on. That's like kind of like the theme of the game. Like that separates it from the regular Mega Man games. Is like Mega Man X can upgrade himself, and like that becomes like a theme of the series. Like there's so many different armor variations. There's always hard tanks. It kind of, and I like games where you can progress your character, but it definitely makes it a little bit easier. Did you have any tough times with it, Toby?
I guess not in particular this run. I guess considering the fact that I've played it before, so I kind of know all the, like a majority of the tricks that you need to do to kind of make the game easier. And of course, again, I looked up the boss order, so that kind of helped out a lot. So I wouldn't say anything was too bad. I guess like Joe mentioned, I think the final form of Sigma, I did struggle a little bit with that. I guess I caught off guard a couple of times. Like his fire breath did a little more damage than I remember doing. So yeah, that was
that fire breath is what got me too most of the time.
And the game basically is like, it gives you like almost too much of a crutch because it's like it gives you those little worm guys at the beginning of the level, so you can just keep filling up your sub tanks.
Yeah.
So it like rewards you getting those sub tanks, but at the same time, it just like you're always gonna have the sub tanks when you do the fight. So it's like if you can make it past the first two forms and make it to the end and get to his like with his hitting his head. I was actually like on my last sub tank, and then I was facing the dog, like the last form where he's in the big suit with the hands. And I was like, I can't heal myself again. I just need to play really well. And then I started like really paying attention to the pattern and caring more about the hits I was taking. And it's like, if you do that, you're going to be okay. But it can be tough. That boss, yeah, like you said, Joe, the spider, and then the last form of Sigma. Say they're tougher ones.
Someone should use this game as a study to say, okay, how much better do people play whenever they are out of healing and they have no other option other than to play well? Because I definitely played so much better on my last sub tank than I did. Like the dog, I'm fighting it, I'm like, whatever, just die, whatever. And then, yeah, you get to that final one and you're like, you care so much more. Someone should do a study about that.
Yeah, there's always that thing in games where you're like, when you have more of a handicap or like, you have X amount of things as like a crutch to help you, you're not going to try as hard.
Yeah.
But like, then you put yourself in like a multiplayer game where, if you die, you're dead for the round. You're like, that life is going to mean so much more, and you're going to like try way harder versus I might be a little more reckless if I have more. I think that's like almost a psychology thing. So
yeah.
What was the hardest part of the game, Toby? Hardest part?
honestly, I probably would say the final form of Sigma, which I guess makes sense since it's really the final thing you do. But
Yeah.
Are you good at the spider boss?
Honestly, I don't think I'm that bad at it. So something I like to do, honestly, I know the ice shot's technically the spider boss's weakness, but I like to use the Mega Buster just because whenever the spider boss throws out the little baby spiders, if you have like a fully charged Buster, you can just kill the little spiders. That's something that ice shot can't do.
I noticed that.
Yeah,
at one point.
I tried to predict when he was going to throw out the kids, or she was going to throw out the kids, whatever, and kill all of them, and then be like, okay, he's not going to come down in like the next 3 or 4 times and throw kids, because I feel like there's a little bit of a weight to it. So I'll be like, okay, I'll use the shotgun until then, and I still have a tough time with it, but definitely my least favorite like level and boss. So going off of all those things, like just generally, like how'd you feel about the game? Like, did you like it, Joe?
Yeah, it was great. You know, it's the one thing that I described. It was like the game, like the opening of the game. Obviously, everybody knows about it. It's a big deal, and like it really like tries to blow you away like very quick. It's like, this is not your dad's Mega Man, this is new Mega Man, and they're like the cool factors off the charts the entire game. So I think it
is definitely cool. It's called Mega Man X, and
it's like, very like it's very like trying to be like a cool new way to play Mega Man or something, is what I kind of like saw it, like noticed out of it, I think, a lot. But at the same time, it is pretty much formulaically it's the same. It's not really changed too much. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah, like I was saying, like the one thing that I guess is different is those upgrades that you obtain, and whatnot throughout the game. I was actually curious if you knew more about the development process, if wall jumping was an upgrade at some point, because you just sort of get it, and I was like, I wonder if this was a upgrade at some point in development and they decided to not do it.
Don't you have it from the beginning? You have it from the intro
level.
Yeah,
that's what. Yeah. But I was like wondering.
You mean it's an upgrade from the original series?
Yeah, or if you don't start with wall jumping and then you get it very early on, and that's like, whoa, you know, you can wall jump now. I think
that's like something they're trying to wow you with, like in the first level, because they bring the bridge down and then you have to go up. So I think like I think it's like one of those things they're trying to be like, look at what you could do now. You couldn't do this before.
Yeah.
So, because the way the game handles upgrades like later, I think they like don't even do it very spectacularly. So,
you can miss all of them.
I'd be curious,
except for Dash. You can miss all of them.
You can miss all of them but Dash, yeah.
Yeah.
And we can go into it right after what Toby says, because I want to talk about the upgrades. So, what did you think about the game overall, Toby? I already know you love it, but like, still love it?
Yeah, I still love it. I mean, I guess I'm pretty sure nostalgia definitely plays a large factor in that. But yeah, I mean, same thing as Joe said. You know, the intro stage really takes you in. I know there's another YouTuber that we all know and love that has already made a video on how great.
Hey, I'm Grump.
Yeah.
I guess just one little goofy thing I wanted to mention. So I know in the intro stage you have to fight Bio, and you're obviously supposed to lose against him. He throws out a little electric ball, and he like traps you. So I decided I was gonna have fun and try to see how long I could last. And turns out you can actually die against him. Like I actually like straight up died. Like I avoided his electrical ball by mistake and jumped into him by accident and just died and had to actually restart from like, the middle of the intro stage.
That's hilarious.
Can you die too when you face him later in the game? Because when you face him later in the game, there's a part 1 and a part 2 to it. In the part 1, there's no health bar. Can you die there too?
I would assume so. I decided not to test it because, like, you know, I don't want to be an idiot and just kind of have to go back. Well, I can't remember.
Can't even beat the first level of Mega Man X.
Yeah, I died literally in the intro stage, not from like falling down or something from Bile. So,
Yeah.
That was kind of goofy, but
yeah, going into what Joe said, I really think it's like a perfect successor. Like it's like a textbook of how like a series should evolve, because it really just is another Mega Man game, but it knows how to evolve it so it stays fresh, but it still stays what you know. Like that is like what every product is ever trying to achieve, is to try to be fresh enough that you're interested, but familiar enough so that you're not too jaded. Like really, that's everything. Like every series in the world is trying to figure that out. Still to this day, that's just like, even bands are like, oh, what are we going to do on our new album? We make something so different, everybody's going to hate it. Or we do something too formulaic, people are just... So you want to be that sweet spot. I really think this game is like textbook example of that. It's just like, yeah, it's definitely cooler. The music, it still has the fantastic music. We'll get into that without a doubt. But like, it has a different vibe to it. Character designs are different. The art style is different. But like the structure of the game is identical. You got your 8 robot masters. Intro stage is different. That's a new thing. Actually, Mega Man 7 had an intro stage, but it came after. That came out after Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo. But like the structure is still the same thing. And then you have after you beat the 8 robot masters, Mavericks, whatever, then you go into your final 4 stages where you go fight the final boss. It's really identical. And I really think it's like textbook. It's just like, this is the best way to like keep things evolved. And then like, you 8 years down the line, you go like, what worked on Mega Man X? And then you will do that again. And they actually did that with the Mega Man Zero series, which I want to delve deeper in. I played it, but I want to play it again. But yeah, I think the game's great. It's awesome. Once it's something you've played it or experienced it so many times, you'll just go into it and be like, yeah, this is awesome. Like every time I watch Back to the Future, like one of my favorite movies, you just watch it and you're like, this is great. Like I'm just having a great time. Like you're smiling. Like, and that's it. Like I just played the game like from start to finish. Like this is awesome. It's just like, that's it. You're like, it's like vanilla ice cream. I love it, and I'm just always gonna go back to it because it's always gonna taste good. So that's it. I do want to complain a little bit though, because we're not here to just be happy all the time. So I want to talk about those upgrades. You talked about how if the wall jump was an upgrade, like was that a plan at any point? I think the way upgrades are handled are like actually kind of like stupid. Like so the leg upgrade, it's just like they give it, you have to choose to go to that level, but like it's going to be so much harder to beat any of those levels without the leg upgrade. But like back in the day, how would you have known to go to Chill Penguin stage first? Like I don't really think that's intuitive. Like you would have just had to play around for a while, and that's why the game could have been so much longer if back in the day. But they don't hide it in any sort of clever way. You just get it on your track. But then the way the upgrades are handled the rest of the game, I know you missed like one of them, Joe, but one of them's in a stage where it's on Storm Eagle's stage. I think that's headbutt upgrade. It's just like in this little area that you could miss, but like it's a pretty useless upgrade. I'm pretty sure you can get another upgrade with it, the beam upgrade from Flame Mammoth or Storm.
It was Flame Mammoth, I believe, yes.
Yeah, on a really hard jump, and it's like you could miss that. It's like, okay, so I need to get this upgrade that I could have missed to get this other upgrade I could have missed, and using that upgrade is like so situational. It doesn't help you in combat. It doesn't really do anything. Like, do you agree, Toby? Since you did get the helmet piece, like, how useless is it really?
Are you talking about the laser upgrade or
the helmet piece from Storm Eagle stage?
Yeah, I honestly think the helmet's just for that one thing. I can't recall off the top
I
of my
think
head.
you can also get it on Sting Chameleon whenever like the flooding part. Can't you delete those blocks under the stage using that?
Oh,
you can technically, or you could just like do like the wall jump and like it'll break the blocks individually when you're wall jumping on them, so you don't have to have a headbutt. Honestly,
Gotcha.
for that.
So that I'm like, okay, well, what's the point even pointing out upgrade, because it's literally just an upgrade so you can get another upgrade, and it's just like that felt kind of useless. But like the way you find them, like it's like kind of, you could explore around, but if you didn't know that you could break these blocks, it's like, how would you have known to get it? Like I don't think it's actually that intuitive how a lot of them are hidden.
Come on, Dr.
Including
Light.
the heart tanks.
What are you
Including the
doing?
heart tanks and some of the sub tanks. Like I don't think a lot of them are that intuitive. Like, what did you guys think about a lot of that? Because Joe, you didn't look them up. Toby and I know them by heart. I don't have to look them up, but I wouldn't have been able to get 100% unless I Googled it. Really, what do you guys think?
Well, the one I do want to mention that I wrote down that I really stuck out to me was that one I looked up was the Spark Mandrill stage, I believe it was. There's a heart container on this little tiny square platform up in the corner, and so you try to jump and you don't make it. You try to wall jump. There's a thing right here blocking you, so you can't like wall jump onto it. And so you're like, what do I do here? Like, because I'm like, did I miss something? And I was like, I'll just look it up because if I missed it, I can stop worrying about it. I was like, this is just bugging me so badly. It's right there. I can see it. And what you have to do is dash wall jump.
Yeah.
I didn't know was a thing. Is that a thing that the game tells you?
It is a thing, yeah. And it's not easy either.
I just mashed.
Can you also use the boomerang to get it?
I think you can, probably, because you have to use that weapon to get the E-tank at least, so
Yeah, and I always play that stage before I play Boomer Kawanger, so I just do the dash jump, but it's not easy. It takes
I like mashed the dash and the jump button a lot, and then I got it.
Yeah, I just sit there for as long as it takes, just trying it over and over again. What about you, Toby?
Oh, you can go, Joe. You want to say something?
No, but I don't remember. I don't remember the dash playing a role. Like when you're in the air, the dash doesn't do anything. And as far as I remember, if you're on a wall and you hit the dash button, that doesn't do anything. So why would a jump dash work on a wall jump?
Yeah, it's like one of those things that only matters if you're trying to get deeper into the game. It's like one of those things that you find out.
It's like a BLJ.
It's like, there's other methods to get it, but you could use that. And I think that one's silly. Some of them are some of them are ridiculous. Like Storm Eagle stage, you have to go up to the very beginning part and then jump all the way to the left on top of the first building you start on. Like you're just supposed to guess that they're.
How would you ever
maybe
know
I'm
to do
exploring around it. Exactly. And I think some of those things are a little outdated because old video games did love doing that.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of outdated things in the game, but I mean, I like one thing I had was like it would be nice if you started all the levels with 3 lives, but I mean, no game back then did anything like that. So I'm not like, it would just be nice because like. At least in Mario, I mean, the score doesn't matter in Mario, but you lose your score or like something. It's something. But in this game, it doesn't matter. So it's like, if I want to do well, I should just get a game over and then start the level over.
Yeah, any old 2D platform I'm playing, and I don't have full lives when I start, I just kill myself and then
start fresh. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, but like no game back then was doing stuff like that. That only games like, I don't know, like a couple years ago, several years ago, Beyond like do stuff like that anymore, and some games don't even have lives anymore, which I kind of
Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, which I like that the way that does it because
still a punishment, but not as significant.
Yeah, and the punishment isn't time related. Like I can do the thing over again, and it's fine. It just takes more time.
The best, more modern platformers that handle that are Super Meat Boy, because if you die, first off, there aren't lives, but you just get right back into it. Yeah, you do lose some progress, but you're right back into it. And then Shovel Knight, the way the checkpoints work is like perfect.
I agree with that.
Your choice.
Absolutely.
If you want to take the chance on that, that's your call. And I love that. Mega Man X. It's very standard. It's like there's a checkpoint in the middle of the stage. There's a checkpoint right before the boss.
If it was made today, they wouldn't do that. I don't think so.
I'm thinking if they were to make like an X9, I wonder how they'd do it, because it needs to have that challenge. Like they'd probably find a way, but
wasn't Mega Man 11 not success? Would they do another one?
I don't know. I thought it was decent, but I thought it was pretty good. I don't know how it did sales wise though, but.
Gamer Book Club episode 2, Mighty Number 9. Let's do it.
No, I did play a little bit of that, but I don't know. It's such a cheap game. Like it's just like cheaply made. But.
Yeah, I think Toby, what were you saying a long time ago?
shoot.
Sorry.
I don't remember what I was trying to say anymore, but
I'm sorry.
I guess we'll just. I was gonna maybe give my thoughts on like some of these upgrades. So yeah, I do agree. Some of these things are a little outdated, you could say. I remember at least going back to my experience with Mega Man Extreme, like I believe some of the Mega Man X bosses and stages that were available were Chill Penguin, Spark Mandrill, Storm Eagle, and I don't remember the last one, but I do remember you guys were mentioning or Storm Eagle stage for like the sub tank. You have to like get to the top of those moving platforms and just leap to the left. I remember when I was younger, at least, and I had way more time on my hands. I would actually legit just do stuff like that. I would just play around. I'll be like, oh, I want to jump to the very top. I would get to the very top and then just leap off to the left and just see what happens just for fun. And I would, in that case, I literally just accidentally discovered the sub tank.
It's in the same exact spot in the Game Boy game?
It is, yeah. I remember
wow.
I need to play this.
I think it was a sub tank. It wasn't actually a hard tank that it was.
It's a hard tank in the Super
okay,
Nintendo game.
so.
Yeah. I don't know about the Extreme.
I need to play this.
Toby, whenever he showed me it when we were in middle school, he didn't know what it was. So I was on like the website I was talking about, which is like basically a Mega Man wiki, and I found out that there was a Mega Man Extreme. I'm like, Toby, I think you have Mega Man Extreme, because we thought it was like a Chinese. It was basically, you thought it was a Chinese bootleg, right?
That's what you described it like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what. Well, it was in Japanese, but like, of course, like I didn't
but
know
at the time,
it was all in Japanese. So
yeah.
Oh man.
And I also specifically remember when you showed me the game and like I saw some screenshots of it. I thought, oh, this can't be it. The graphics don't look good enough, because I think we played Mega Man X not too long ago. So I thought, no, it looks more like Mega Man X, not like whatever this crap is. So then I think eventually I don't remember how. I think I was able to get. Can you play Game Boy Color games on Game Boy Advanced? Is that
yes?
Or actually, yeah. I think I know you had a Game Boy Color, Karstens. I think I brought the game over, put it in your Game Boy Color, opened it up, and it had that same crappy looking graphics that you showed me on those screenshots. And I thought, oh, okay, I guess, wow, you're right. This is the game. It's not nearly as nice as I remember it.
Yeah, your childhood brain can lie to you
quite a bit.
Yeah.
Toby's childhood's ruined.
I remember when I thought Mario Golf 64 had like the best graphics I'd ever seen. So
the draw distance in that game is awful.
well, my brother and I were all excited, and we got it on WiiWare many years later, and the opening plays of Mario hitting the thing, and we're like, oh,
they massacred my boy.
Oh no!
Even back then, we just didn't know. Some of the upgrades are like more like involved too. Like some of them are like you just see it and you get it, and then some of them are like in Storm Eagle stage you have to shoot down like a piece of glass and like shoot down like this like fire stuff and blow it up, but you have to shoot it for like a long time. So you're gonna shoot it a few times, be like, oh, it doesn't do anything, you know?
Yeah.
And then in Launch Octopus's stage, to get the sub tank, you have to like go up to this boat at the top, shoot it down, and then like it goes to the bottom, and like introduces you to a new part of the level. Then you defeat this like big snake, and then you get this. It's like so involved, and you know some of it's like cool. Like as a kid, you'd be like, whoa. Like another one is in Sting Chameleon stage. To get one of the upgrades, you just go to like this top part of the stage, and there's this like boss.
Yeah, and he takes forever.
Big green guy. Yeah, and then like that's the biggest upgrade. Like your damage gets halved.
Yeah.
It's like you would just would have had to fuck around. Like, you know, like that's what really you had to do back then. I think, not that I know game design well enough, but I think things are a lot more well thought out so that they can actually be figured out and not be like Nintendo Power, like how do I figure this out kind of stuff, or like just play around with the game and just find shit basically because I feel like that's the only way you would have found this stuff.
Yeah, it's something that in the internet age you can't get away with. I don't think like you just can't. If you try to do that now, I think people would just look things up and like you just couldn't get away with it. It just wouldn't be like possible to do that. I think.
I think a really cool like modern kind of implementation towards like being cryptic is the game that came out last year called Tunic. It was like nominated for one of the indie games of the year. Just generally, it's like a Zelda-like game, but it doesn't tell you anything. It just sets you down, and you've all heard this before. It sets you down, doesn't tell you anything. But like you actually collect like parts of the instruction manual to the game, but it's not in English. It's in like its own language basically, and it'll tell you what you have to do in certain parts, but you have to collect these pieces. Then you'll be like, oh, I think I remember that kind of area, and you'll go back there. So it's like the game has its own way of telling you what to do. Like, yeah, you can figure it on your own, or you find these basically instruction manual pieces, like the original Zelda game, because the original Zelda game really did tell you what to do in a lot of spots. Like, it like helps you up past like the second dungeon on what to do because the concept of the game was so new.
Yeah.
So there's like modern ways of doing that, but yeah, most of the time it's like you got to make it intuitive, or actually solvable in some sort of way. We don't really have all this time in the world to be doing what Toby did and just like, I'm gonna run around. It's like, no.
Even
I want to use my brain.
Yeah, I do think that was kind of I guess you could say, sort of common design philosophy back in the day, where in order to like arbitrarily kind of lengthen the game, they kind of putting these sorts of random things or like some sort of BS things just to kind of extend the gameplay of it.
That's one thing. I haven't played all the Mega Mans on NES, but I remember it's like whenever you do the rematches with everybody, it's like you just kind of do them. You just kind of go in the order. And this game, they're part of the stage. Like, yeah, you rematch all of them, but in this game, they're actually like you do the stages and then you fight them as you go. That feels less lazy. Not lazy is a strong word, but you're playing old Mega Man, you're like, oh, this is padding to make it longer. But in this game, it doesn't really feel as much like that. It feels like they kind of are starting to get away from that, maybe a little bit.
So the very first Mega Man game is actually like that. Mega Man 1.
Oh, really? Okay.
The Robot Masters, you fight them throughout the Wily levels. And then Mega Man 2, they introduced the 8.
Yeah.
And I actually wrote in my notes, I said, I don't like how the Mavericks are spread across the Sigma levels instead of all at once, like in a traditional Mega Man game. So I actually prefer it, like, just it being a gauntlet before the
I guess if you're going to, yeah. But in my opinion, yeah. It's just like in Mega Man 2, it feels like it's just, maybe we're just trying to make this a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think it's like, one of those things where you're playing through something, it's like, oh, remember that? And it's like you just go through and it's like, here's like the complete experience. Like you're going to do all the stuff you went through again and then fight the final boss.
It feels good to take on 2 bosses in one life. It's like, yeah, screw you. Get out of here. I'm so far beyond. Get
Once you have all the weaknesses, some of the bosses in this game are fucking way too easy.
Yeah.
Like some of them, like one of them, you do the shotgun ice and literally he freezes every time. I'm pretty sure it's natural. Like he just goes, oh!
Yep.
And then he'll freeze me again, go! and then that's it. That's the whole.
Or the ice, or is it Chill Penguin with the fire beam?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the same deal. You just kind of hit it, jump, hit it, jump. Like every time you hit him, he like does a little animation, and he's easy.
Yeah, and that's how Mega Man works. But Mega Man, the original series, didn't really have like these animations. I don't remember, at least, where it's just like they'll have such like a weakness state if you hit them with their weakness.
Yeah.
Like it would just kind of do more damage to them.
Yeah.
But like in this game, it's like, oh, you figured out what their weakness is. Basically, here you go, you won. I'm trying to think. Like some of them have interactable stuff. Like I know you can knock the tusks off of Flame Mammoth. With I'm pretty sure the boomerang cutter, right, Toby?
I don't actually remember that.
I know you can definitely knock his tusks off. I'm trying to think about like all the interactable stuff you could do. That's the only one I can remember off the top of my head. There are interactable stages though, like Joe said. I think this is one of the coolest parts of the game is that if you play one level, it'll have specific implications for other levels in the world. I really actually think that helps keep the world together and like a cohesive like, oh, all these levels actually have like environmental effects on the other. You guys know what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
What are all of them? Like Launch Octopus will flood Sting Chameleon stage. Chill Penguin will freeze Flame Mammoth stage. And then Storm Eagle will turn off the electricity in Spark Mandrill stage. Is that all of them?
Those are the ones I remember at least.
I think that might be all of them.
Okay, yeah, I know, yeah. Storm Eagles, yeah, planes that crashes into Spark Mandrill stage, and that's what causes the electricity to go out. So
one of the thing is though, if it's your first playthrough, you won't notice because you don't know that the stage is any different. Did you know this at all?
No.
Yeah, so if you play Stink Chameleon stage before any of the others, it won't be flooded. If you play Spark Mandrill stage before whatever, the lights won't keep flickering. Like you won't be playing with the lights all off. And then Flame Mammoth, like I'm pretty sure you can't get the one heart container at the bottom right of the stage, because when you freeze it from Chill Penguin, it'll actually just be there sitting there. Otherwise, if Flame Mammoth stage is all fiery, that heart container you'll either have to damage boost or like it's hidden. So like it has effects, and that's actually really cool because it makes it feel like a cohesive world. And even before, when you're choosing all the Mavericks, like there is a map, and I actually really like those details to make it feel like it's all in this world and you're traveling to all of them and how they're next to each other and stuff like that. It really reminds me of how like in Mario Sunshine you can see the other levels. You can see Pinna Park from some levels and some of that kind of stuff. It doesn't make it feel like you're playing a video game, like not to be like a cliche, like you feel like they're really making something here. I do think that's cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
But
I didn't notice that.
One of the negatives I feel is if you play this game in the same order every time, you're not going to notice, because in the order, all those effects are already going to happen on the stage. So I can't tell you the last time I've played any of those levels without those effects being on, because I play in the same order every time.
Yeah, you're definitely never going to play Flame Mammoth stage with like the fire still or the lava still going, because like there's literally no reason to not play Chill Penguins stage firstly ever.
Exactly. So it's like it's cool, but like it's one of those blink and you might miss it because you don't know that the level's already like that. It's one of those things you notice if you've played this game a ton.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
It does, show how detailed and like how much thought they put into this game. Because in the old Mega Man games, they pretty much are just like, here are levels, like play them. And here I really think they do a good job of, and it happens eventually in the Mega Man X series. They really do build the world out like extremely. Like it gets like political. It gets like philosophical, humans and robots. Like it really does. In the next few games, but here it's just simple, pretty simple. But they do try to build a world out, and I like that. They even build a world out. Did you guys notice before the start, the title screen? Did you guys notice like the little story bits they gave you there?
Yeah, in the year 20XX or whatever it is.
Yeah, like they have like those sirens, and they're like, "Oh, warning, warning, warning!" And it's like basically Dr. Light built Mega Man X to be like this like free will robot who can act like a human basically, and it's going to take 30 years until he's like fully together. But like they show how he's all advanced, so there's being like, hey, this is a delineation, this is like a new Mega Man, and like I think that's really cool.
And then Dr. Light hid all of his upgrades in stupid locations. So.
Yeah, that part's dumb. He should have been like, hey, they're here and they're there and they're here and they're there, go get them.
Yeah. Try jumping off this building. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know Dr. Light put his like upgrade capsules, but like the heart containers and sub tanks, was that also from Dr. Light, or?
Okay, who knows? I have no idea.
I think you're. I don't think you're supposed to ask that.
I think that's a video game thing, but who knows?
Yeah, probably. But I guess one other small little like detail I want to point out. It's like a rather small, not super significant, but I know in the boss selection screen, obviously you can like, when you're selecting the different bosses, you can see like a little, I guess, preview of their stages. Yeah. I know like in the other corners you can like see other things. Like in one of the corners you can kind of see like a map sort of like of the whole area where like all the Mavericks are located. In another square there's you actually see some like statistics about
like
the boss.
A bio. Yeah.
It's pretty much their height, weight, and their name, and like their weapon, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, it's not a big deal or significant at all, but like, it's a cute little detail to add on, I think.
Oh yeah.
I like how the bottom right just says Mega Man X, and you're like, what does this do? It doesn't do anything. That's because that's how you go to Sigma later.
Yeah. No, that's funny. No, I noticed that too. Some of the bios were pretty interesting, I thought. But yeah, definitely. I guess glad they would do that, but not really something you would like be missed without at the same time.
So I have gone over most of my criticisms. The last one I wanted to talk about, as I still think is the most significant one, is the slowdown.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too.
Well, it is pretty bad.
Yeah, well, you know what? Super Nintendo, fine, whatever. But, yeah, like the Super Nintendo Classic, I believe the Switch, I remember seeing criticism from the Switch
It's in my version, yep.
Why is it still there in the re-releases? I don't know. I don't understand.
I really think when companies re-release games, they're really just trying to... I think they do it under a disguise of like, oh, we want to keep it true to the original, but I just think it's because it's the lowest effort, that they have to do.
Yeah, no, I wish... I mean, I think the... Like that, what's the level with the mountains with the Hadouken in it? I forget the...
Armored Armadillo.
Armored Armadillo.
Yeah, Armored Armadillo. That
the
stage...
song is the
going,
side-scroller's theme.
Yeah, you're going down that platform, and like that's when the slowdown's like the worst.
Oh yeah, right before like that final jump.
Yeah,
so slow.
That's when it's the worst in like the whole game pretty much. But if it was full speed, it'd be like fine. I don't really know how it would be any different. And then there's definitely also some slowdown bits in the underwater stage, but not as much.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, when you're playing a modern version of it, you don't want that. There's no reason for it to be there anymore. I don't care about having an authentic experience with it. There's no reason. It's not strengthening the experience or the game at all. So I think that's definitely a little bit of a negative to it. I don't remember a lot of Super Nintendo games at this time, like the iconic ones. Like, I could be wrong, but I don't think there's any slowdown in Mario World, Super Metroid, Link to the Past. I think those games run like butter. I don't know. Could be wrong, but Castlevania 4, I don't think it does either, but I don't know. This game though, definitely. But
I don't think so.
That's still something that you run into in modern games. But at least now you can like, oh, I'm in performance mode. Like I played Elden Ring today, and it was like, do you want to prioritize performance or visuals? And I'm like, I'm gonna choose performance 100% of the time.
Yeah.
If there was a way to play this game like that, another game that's like that. Kirby's Adventure, the second Kirby game, the one that came out for NES, the first one with copy abilities, all the re-releases, they kept making them with the slowdown. That game had significant slowdown. It was a late NES release past the Super Nintendo, but they made a 3D Classics version for 3DS, and that's the only version of the game that doesn't have slowdown.
Probably because they had to redo a lot of it because it's in 3D.
Yeah, and it's like, that's awesome. Why don't other people do this?
Yeah,
that game has significant slowdown, worse than this game, and it's like, thank God there's a version where it doesn't have that.
Yeah, well, maybe make Mega Man Maverick Hunters on the PSP. Maybe that's.
Yeah, they were actually going to remake this game as an FPS as well, like inspired by Super Metroid Prime.
Oh, that was they were going to remake this game.
Mega Man X, yeah.
Oh, I knew that. I've seen the screenshots and stuff and the videos from it, the canceled version, but I didn't know it was a remake of this.
Yeah, I think wasn't it, Toby? Does that ring a bell to you? I think they were going to make Mega Man X in the same vein as like Metroid Prime, as a first-person shooter.
It doesn't ring any bells for me. I mean, I would assume that if that didn't succeed, then that would have been like what ultimately became Mega Man Legends or something like that. But
oh, I think it was like later, like 2000s. But I'll in editing, I'll have already shown a blurb of it probably.
There you go. Looks great.
Yeah, good. No, I don't want to play it. We'll go into our favorite parts of the game. I'll talk about it. I think we haven't talked about it yet. I think we have to. How good is the music in this game?
It's great. Yeah.
It's so
awesome.
So good.
Amazing.
Like, this is like top 5 video game soundtracks of all time for me.
Yep, I can see it.
Definitely my favorite on Super Nintendo.
And that's saying a lot. Like, I think Super Nintendo music's awesome.
Yeah.
So Capcom has every soundtrack ever, pretty much, on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've listened to this soundtrack on Spotify. It's one of my most listened to albums. I just go through it, and when I'm working, and it's just like exciting enough to, like, when I'm working, I'm like, listen to Storm Eagles stage, like, and I'm like, oh yeah. But every song, like, it's like crazy listening to a Super Nintendo soundtrack and like the sound font of it. You can literally hear the drums, you can hear the guitar, and it's like crazy because, you know, this is 1993. You know, that we're still getting out of bips and boops and whatever all that kind of sound, but like you can literally hear like these are metal songs just like super compressed, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an amazing soundtrack. And the that was another thing too, is the graphics hold up too, I thought. Like they're still,
they're great.
Like whenever you make a game like this, it just never looks bad. So
I think they look better than the other Super Nintendo Mega Man X games.
Oh really?
Like, the style they went for, I think, is awesome. Like, not that the other two look bad, but they actually go for a different style with those.
Yeah.
And the music sounds different too. Like this one hit the sweet spot.
The PlayStation ones look horrible, so they there you go. Like
I really like Mega Man X4, but the other ones, I don't really.
Yeah.
I grew up Mega Man X4 though, so a little biased.
Yeah, I did.
Toby,
feel
go to soundtrack. Go to soundtrack, Toby.
Oh yeah, I would agree. It's definitely up there with one of the best for sure.
I know you've definitely seen me on Spotify listening to it, and I know I've seen you listening to it. So I think that just goes to show.
There you go.
You hear me listening to Icy Penguigo stage.
Yeah, so all the names, Joe, are still their Japanese names.
Oh,
so like
that's
it's
awesome.
Icy Penguigo.
Icy
I love it. Icy Penguigo.
Oh
It is a
my
literal
god.
Japanese like translation. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. But I really I think music and like the sound design of video games are like one of the I think they're just as important as level design, all that kind of stuff. I really think, because if how much does it amplify the experience of this game? It does to like the nth degree. Like it totally just puts an exclamation point on the gameplay, on everything you're doing, because you're not gonna not have a good time when you're listening to these, like, they're just awesome songs. And you know the levels are only like 5 minutes long, so you're just gonna sit there and jam out for 5 minutes while you're moving around super fast and dodging enemies and killing them. I just think it's perfect. Like, if it's not my favorite part of the game, it is like right up there as like what really accentuates like how this game like really oozes its character. Was there anything that in this game that you guys like were like, yeah, that was my favorite part, like this is what makes this game like that game?
Real quick, I see Boomer Kuwanger stage. There you go.
That is, I don't think they translated that name, because what is a Boomer Kuwanger?
I don't know.
The rest of them are like animals.
No, I see what you mean. Yeah, but the that's awesome. I didn't know that. You said favorite part. Sorry.
Yeah, like what's your just overall favorite part about the game?
I mean, finally getting to the end and fighting Sigma, and he pulls out a freaking lightsaber. I was like, yeah. Okay.
I know, he's like Luke Skywalker straight up.
Literally a lightsaber, by the way. It's not. It's not a lightsaber. It's a lightsaber. It is. And then he like sucks with it. So.
Joe, do you want to know what Sigma does in the second game?
The same thing? Did he do the same thing?
No.
Oh.
I'll edit it in, but he takes out Wolverine claws, literally straight up Wolverine claws, and it's like, and it's like the people over at Capcom were just like, yeah, Star Wars and superheroes, we're just gonna copy it. It is total copyright. Like they just said, that's it. He's Wolverine now. He's Luke Skywalker now. That's it. Like they didn't think of anything.
The fight against Sigma Ultron in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, you know, that's what I'm there for. You know, that's
there you
what.
Go.
You know, he got the Marvel thing. He actually got it.
Yeah,
so
I don't know anyone who's ever played that game but you. So
I haven't. So.
Oh, you just looked it up. I know people bought the eggs. What about you, Toby? Is it just the whole game, or is it like you have like a specific part where you're like, here we go?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think just as a whole, the game is just like a very well-rounded, just like good game. Obviously, like you said, I think the music absolutely banger. I think the graphics hold up very well. I think in general, really, SNES graphics, like they hold up very well, honestly, because
absolutely.
I know with like earlier 3D games, like you know, like the very polygon, like innate. I don't know how you would say it, but like it's kind of obvious how
polygonal,
I guess. Polygonal, yeah, it's probably a good way to say it. But like with the
My
SNES,
favorite like PlayStation art style games are the ones that weren't trying to be 3D, like the ones like Symphony of the Night that were like, oh, now that we have 32-bit, we can do the 2D stuff even better, and like the like enemy design and like the world design, like Symphony of the Night and a lot of those 2D games, like because they weren't trying to be 3D and date themselves unknowingly, like oh wow, like I love sprites, I love all that kind of stuff, and yeah, the Super Nintendo, it's just, all of it looks great.
I think we can get into it more if we ever do a 3D old game like N64, but I think there is a charm to 3D graphics, but there's some very ugly 3D games, and then there's some that are like charmingly good looking still. Like I think Spider-Man on PlayStation 1 looks like fun. Like it's like there's not that many like textures. Like it's not like exploding in your face. Like the game that jumps to mind immediately is Castlevania on N64. Like it just looks like vomit in your face. It looks so bad. It like you don't know what you're even looking at. I think there's a charm to it, but yeah, no, 2D always holds up way better.
I think that old archaic 3D would be easier to go back to if the controls weren't so consistently bad.
Oh,
it's like impossible
no,
to play them.
That's a whole other can of worms. Yeah.
Yep, it's just like such a completely different conversation. We'll get to it in some other episode. But
absolutely.
Yeah. The only really question I have left, kind of a two-part question, is like, would you play it again? Did it make you a fan of the series? And this game has a significant legacy. Do you think it held up? So, we'll ask do you plan on playing the other games in the series? And is this game, you're still going to be in your rotation?
Yeah, definitely want to replay it to get everything. And look at these stage differences that you guys are talking about. I didn't even notice them. Yeah, I need to go back and look at that. Yeah, I'm definitely curious about the rest of the series. I don't know. For some reason, the PlayStation ones just don't look very interesting to me. But X2 and X3, I would definitely try, and maybe I would like to try the PlayStation ones after trying those. I don't know. The other thing I want to try is Maverick Hunters, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's
I don't have a PSP.
Yeah, so I want to try it on my Vita at some point. And now I want to try Mega Man Extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to try that. So yeah, I would say it definitely made me more interested in the series. And then the legacy, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, this is so many games take inspiration from this one. Yeah, there's no question.
Absolutely. I do hate to burst your bubble. This is the best it gets. There's no better Mega Man X game. The ones I've played. Like after this, I was like, oh, I want to play X2 again. And it's just not as good. And then X3, I think, is significantly not as good. I think X4 is really good, but not as good as this. And then the rest, they become too story heavy. Like one of them has like a Majora's Mask time limit, and there's just too much talking and character and cutscenes. It's just like, I want to play the game, it's a platformer, but I think this is where it peaks. But yeah.
I want to at least give them a try.
There you go.
It makes me interested in the series, so I do want to give it a try. Yeah.
Well, Toby, I already know you're a fan of the series, and you're playing this game for a while. Which ones of the series have you played?
When it comes to the X games, obviously X1 to X3.
I love the X games.
Oh yeah,
yeah, Tony Hawk, baby.
I've played most of X4. I think I don't believe I ever actually beat it though, and I've never played X5 and onward. I've always wanted to try them. I mean, I think X7 like at some point has like some weird third-person mode or something like that.
I think X7 and X8 both are like 3D and have some very short third-person sections. I hear X7's an absolutely like abysmal game, and then I think X6 is just as bad, just like because the way the levels are designed, it's just really bad.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's they stopped at X8 and. When was X8 released? Like a long time ago.
Probably like 2002 or something. I actually played that game as a kid just because it was like a blockbuster rental. I don't think that one's as bad. It came out like 2004 or something. But yeah, there hasn't been a game since. They made a Mega Man X RPG. It's called Mega Man X Command Mission. I never touched that one.
That's
maybe
one I've actually want to play as well. Actually, the only reason why I want to play that one is because I've heard a couple of songs on a random Mega Man Flash game that I played. So, and literally because of that, I've been super curious on the game now. So,
I'm sure it's a really expensive GameCube game.
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
You gotta stream Flash games, Toby. Come on. What are
Yeah,
you doing?
Toby, you gotta stream it.
Maybe in the future.
Oh, hey, you speedran Plant World, aren't you the world?
Oh,
record
that's
holder?
right.
Yeah, technically, I believe yes, but that can be a topic for another video.
Gamer Book Club, Plant World.
Maybe if if this stays around and this is a series we keep doing, we can do X2 in 1 year.
There you go.
There you go.
Just like, sorry, I hate to be that Mark. Scott the Woz does that.
There you go.
He has like, oh, this time of the year is like when I like to release another Sonic review. So every time of the year he'll do Sonic 1, and then that time of the year next year he'll do Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic CD.
Yeah, I don't.
This year he did Sonic 3D Blast. Absolute Mark out here. I love Scott.
There's too many. I don't know. I'm more. Yeah. Sonic. I don't know if we could. Let's just stick with Mega Man X. That'll be our new yearly thing if it is the thing.
Oh no, I was just saying that's what he does.
No, I know. You got me.
Yeah.
My brain thinking about Sonic. I'm like, oh man, I don't know what I would.
Yeah.
Do. We'd
I
run
think,
out
like,
of
this game-
things eventually.
The problem with the X series is like this game was so like perfect that like they don't do enough to change things up. Like they do change things up, but like they just think more is better instead of like just making it like real, like I don't know what the word is, like tight, like a tight experience. They just like they bloated it up a little bit, but I think Mega Man X4 is the other best one. I've 100% of that game, and then you can play that game as X and Zero. As after Mega Man X4, you can always play as Zero, and that's the only PlayStation one I like. But yeah, this is my favorite Mega Man game in general.
So he's
and
alive.
I love all the Mega Man X games.
Zero's alive.
Oh, spoiler!
Yeah. I'll give you a little hint about what X2 is about. You collect parts for Zero to like rebuild him.
He died like right there.
Yeah, well, he's a robot.
I guess his memory lives somewhere else because I mean, when you got to the end of the game, you saw Sigma again, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Joe, I'll send you some cutscenes. I'll show you how ridiculous things get in the later games. Like they literally start talking about like the concept of robots and free will and humanity versus, like what it gets crazy.
What's that one famous thing from the Mega Man cartoon where he jumps in front of Abraham Lincoln's statue to protect Abraham Lincoln's statue, and he goes, "I knew you'd save Mr. Lincoln."
I know the old thing was Gutsman's ass. You remember that, Toby?
That's man's what? Sorry.
Gutsman's ass, his butt. Like there was always a joke about Gutsman's butt.
What?
Oh shoot! I feel like I vaguely remember that, like way back in the day, but it's been so long since I've.
This is like literally 2009 internet humor.
Oh my god.
Mhm.
And then the other was the voice acting in Mega Man X4 was so bad.
Oh
that,
yeah.
Like there's a cutscene where Zero screams for like 10 seconds, and it's just the worst.
Oh, I've seen those. I've seen that. Of course, the
I think
classic.
it might be exactly like what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's that, and then the Devil May Cry scream, Dark Soul would lie. There's so many iconic voice acting moments like that from back in the day. Oh, you would never get those now.
Capcom's probably like top 3 like developers for me. Like they have so many good game series. We'll have to get on the Capcom games.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's pretty much it. We
Yeah.
all like the game. I can find out what you guys thought about it. I thought the format went really well. We'll get into our groove about how we like to talk about stuff. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you guys wanted to bring up?
I think there was a small other complaint that I did want to briefly mention that I didn't quite get the chance to, but I guess more of the semi little BS moments. It was just one small little thing. I think one of our friends actually mentioned it, but I think like in Spark Mandrill stage, for example, whenever like there's those dark sections and then you see those little lights, I guess enemies, whatever you want to call them, coming by. Like the first time you go through it, it's like not too bad. They kind of like light up a specific area where you're not at. and it's like fine and all. But then like the second time you see them, like it seems like they're specifically put in areas to like hit you.
Yes.
Like,
No, that's one thing. I game overed on this part. So there's a one jump that's a big gap, and you have to jump up, and you jump up, and he hits you, and you have to hold right, like the whole time, so that you can slide at the end and wall jump your way up. So I died on that a couple of times because he hits you, and then you just fall and you die. But I was like, okay, so I tried to jump forward and then jump back. So I jumped forward, and he flew by. And I was like, all right, he's done. So I jumped up, and no, he's still there. He hits you again. So that respawning enemies in this game is a little annoying as well. I feel like we didn't mention that, but the homing missiles help out a lot.
Randomizing. So, do you guys have any suggestions for the next episode?
The one I was interested is Luigi's Mansion. I have not. Or Bayonetta.
And you said Spider-Man on PS1.
Yeah, Spider-Man on PS1, which I mentioned earlier.
I would just overlay our footage from back in the day too.
Yeah. Oh no. Ugh.
I'm just joking. What about you, Toby?
Yeah. I was tempted to put a really dumb game, maybe something like Fortnite or Fall Guys. I guess technically every single one of us. Some of us could.
Let's play the games that we always play all the time.
I mean, like, I don't think there's I don't know there's been like a big like podcast discussion about a game like Fall Guys.
Yeah, I would do it. It's funny.
I mean, I almost all of us have played like Fortnite, for example. Literally every single one of us, like all our friends, could talk about it technically. They've all played it.
That'd be fun, man. I'll put it in, whichever one you want. I haven't played it for the first time.
But yeah, I guess I'll try to think of I guess more serious game.
No, whatever your choice is what your choice is. Don't worry about it. No judgment.
It's true.
Yeah, this is the reason we're doing it. Trying out different games and stuff. So, thanks for joining, guys, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Episode 1 of Gamer Book Club. Didn't really think very hard about the name for this because just the book club we were playing games. So, yeah, I've never been in a real book club, so I think this is how they run. I hope so.
I don't read.
Best to manage it. I think in the future, it might be more like if someone who has more experience with the game might, have better questions. So I've played it more, obviously. So we would be like, Joe, like, hey, why don't you ask what questions you want to ask? So, or you guys can ask questions to the group too. So
yeah,
we'll figure it out as we go.
No, I agree. I think probably more experienced people can not lead, but like sort of lead the discussion.
Yeah, I kind of had picked questions up that I just threw out.
I would not have done well. So
I did let the discussion just go wherever it wanted, and I tried to, not if it was never off track, but like, ask the next part just to make sure that we went over everything. And I really did think we went over everything. So yeah, that's awesome. Thank you guys. Tune into the next episode. We'll be gaming
in 1 month, right? 1 month.
Yeah, just however often.
Doesn't have to be a month.
Yeah, I mean, if the next game is only like another short game, maybe in a few weeks or whatever, we'll see how long it takes me to even get this out. So who knows? If episode 2 might be recorded before the first one came out, who knows? So yeah, but thank you guys, and we'll catch you next time on Gamer Club.
Hell yeah! Goodbye.
Yeah, gamers.